What's up, everybody? This is podcast Gameoverse episode 180 for Thursday, May the 23, 2024. I am Wasabi Ice Cream, joined as always by Rick. What's up?
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Rick. We're here to talk about some video games, man. Let's start. We always start, man. Tell the people what you've been playing.
Senua's Saga, Hellblade II.
Yes. I know we were worried about that game because they had a review embargo on it just randomly. And before that, the game had been delayed like crazy. Like, it was supposed to be a Xbox Series launch game, and that did not happen. So
yeah,
we had a lot of concern about how that game was going to turn out. So what did you think ultimately of it?
Okay, so ultimately, I enjoyed my experience with it.
But
here
it is.
Hold on, wait. I don't want to get to the but yet. Look, it's a phenomenal, visually, audio wise, presentation wise, phenomenal experience. Okay,
good.
Just they put a lot of work into the presentation of this thing that I have to commend them for it. The closest thing that comes to it, I think, is maybe Alan Wake 2. But
really,
yeah, like these are two games that just look absolutely just stunning, man. It's just incredible. The scenery, a lot of volcanoes, a lot of like sulfur pools, just a lot of like mountainous terrain, and the facial capture, voice work, the acting is just fucking incredible, man. Just incredible. So this gets me to the but. It's just not a good game, man. It's just not a good video game.
Really?
Like, that's the thing, is that if this was a movie, it would be way better. It would just be a way better movie. Because the experience of just watching it, the experience wouldn't change whatsoever if you could just watch it. If this was just like a 2-part movie, it'd probably be even better, because it would just, the pacing would be a lot better. Yeah, that's and the problem, one of the other problems is that it's cinematic as fuck, almost to its detriment. Like, there's no tutorials or anything. It kind of just throws you in, and then whenever it wants to tutorialize you doing something, it just, the voices in your head go, focus, you gotta focus, look at it, and you're like, oh, it wants me to hit the focus button, which you can imagine, you could guess what button that is. What do you think the focus button is? What do you no, I want you to guess.
You cut out like super bad for me right now. I didn't hear anything for like 30 seconds. Yeah. I think it was me though. I couldn't hear anything for like 30 seconds. Yeah. It's back now, but for like 30 seconds I was like, I can't hear shit. Did something happen?
Yeah, I think that was you. No, it like tutorializes shit by the voices in your head just telling you to do a thing, but not telling you what button that thing is. So it goes like focus, and you just have to guess what button that is. So you can guess. I want you to guess what that button is. What do you think the focus button is? You're fucking trolling, dude. Hello. Okay, well, it wants you to hit fucking like the L trigger is like the focus button, but it doesn't like tell you that. So you're like, they'll scream at you telling you to do this shit, and then you eventually just hit buttons and figure it out. But doing that, there's things you can do in the game that it doesn't tell you that you can do. such as like interacting with objects by pressing like the A button will like pick shit up, but it doesn't tell you that though. The voices will just yell at you, telling you to do something, and you just hit buttons and you figure it out. Perfect examples like when you're in combat. There's a lot of combat options you have that you don't know you have because it never tells you that you have them, such as you can block. If you block perfectly, you can parry attacks. You can dodge and shit. And I think there's like directional dodging. There's perfect dodging, but it never tells you that. There's never any point where it tutorializes like, hey, perfect blocking is a parry and shit. Like it just doesn't tell you that, because to its detriment, it wants to adhere to this very cinematic, no HUD experience, no tutorial experience, and I just don't think it's a better game for that. I mean, certainly the presentation is better for it, but playing it is not better.
Yeah.
So the entire time I'm like, I'm hitting the dodge button in the combat situations, and it just doesn't. I have no fucking idea how the dodging works, because you hit the dodge button, it's like directional. So an attack will come in and you'll dodge, but you'll still get hit by it because you like dodged in the wrong direction.
That is hilarious to me that it's like simultaneously like over tutorialized and like under tutorialized at the same time.
Yeah, it just doesn't really it doesn't really convey what you're really supposed to be doing at specific moments in the game. So yeah, I think it kind of just falls short because of that. And then the experience overall is just extremely similar to the first game, and it doesn't really deviate from, to the point where the puzzles, there's a lot of the puzzles from the first game, they're the exact same in this game, where it's like you have to like look at shit and line it up, and it opens a door somewhere because it like locks you off, and it's like visual puzzles where like they're in the environment and you have to look at them a certain way to find a symbol. It's just like, come on, like the first game did this exactly, and it wasn't great there, and it's still not great here because you didn't change anything. The combat is actually worse in this game because it's always a one-on-one thing. Like in the first game, you would have multiple guys coming at you, and you would kind of have to juggle in between them. And the voices in your head, like, because you can only focus on one guy at a time. So if something was coming at you that you couldn't see, the voices would be like, behind you, and then you would dodge. It doesn't do that in this game. It's always one-on-one. Always. Always one guy. They never mix it up. Always one guy. It's like, you ever played Infinity Blade on iOS
game way back in the day?
Yeah.
I remember it. I never played it, but I remember it.
Oh, well, it's like that. It's like
I remember it being overhyped, and everyone's saying it's like, oh, it's the best iOS game, and I checked it out, and I was like, it looks like Punch Out, but like shittier.
Yeah, well, that's basically because it was visually, that game was like visually stunning for it being like an iOS game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of similarities here where like this game is visually stunning, but there's just no substance really. It's literally just you walk in a straight line from point A to point B. You don't deviate from the path. Or if there are deviations in the path, it's only to get like a little story thing. There's like totems you can look at, or like trees you can unlock, and then they'll give you like some side story shit, but that's it. If the path deviates, that's what you're gonna find, and then you get back on the path, and then it's a straight line. And like that's it. And that's, I don't know, like that's a sacrifice you have to make to have a game look as good as this, is that it has to be as linear as it is to look that good.
Interesting.
It's just not a good video game. Like it shouldn't be a video, it should just be a movie. And then, like, on top of that, one of the things this game does better than the first game is that there's a lot more characters. You start, like, finding, as you go, you get, like, companions. And for the fuck of me, I can't remember any of their names because they're never they're not prominent. Like you don't learn anything about them, even though they're like pretty fucking interesting characters, and you want to learn more about them. It never goes in depth on any of the characters. So we're like, hey, like, what's your like backstory? Like, who are you? Like, what's your deal? Like, let me learn something about you. It just never does. There's a few interesting characters here, and you just never get any chance to just learn anything about them. It's fucking frustrating because the back half of this game, I was very invested in what was happening story wise, and that's when they start introducing more characters and shit. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's learn about these characters. Let's learn about what's happening here. But it just never lets you get any deeper than the surface level bullshit that it gives you. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Yeah.
That is frustrating. It sounds like it's a cool, like, it was kind of like what the Order was trying to do, right? It's like the showcase of like, look how good this game looks. This is why you want to buy this system. But it came out like fucking years later after the system's already been out.
And that's the thing. So that kind of leads into one of the discussion topics I have in a bit about this style of game, or I guess like what's happening here. But I don't know. We'll talk about that a little deeper in a little bit. But ultimately, like I ended up liking the experience that I had with it. Like it took me like 6.5 hours to finish it, so I just did it in one sitting. And yeah, I mean because it started grabbing me, like the halfway point into the end, it grabbed me to where I was like, okay, now I'm here. I like want more of this. But then it just like ends when it starts getting good, and it was just a bummer. It was just a bummer, man. I was like, man, you guys could have really expanded this, expanded on some of these characters, expanded on some of the shit that's happening here. But it just wraps up when it's really starting to get good, and it was a bummer. It was a bummer. But if it was any longer, it would be fucking repetitive as fuck. Like I would just get bored because it's literally just walking from point A to point B in a straight fucking line, solving mundane puzzles. And yeah, it just wasn't like if it was any longer, it'd be the gameplay doesn't really hold up at that point. So I don't know if they ever do a third one of these, which it ending kind of sets up something that could be expanded on. If they ever do a third one, they have to fucking change it up like completely. They cannot make this game again. They just can't.
I mean the graphically impressive like third person over the shoulder story based game can only like get so far, man. Like let's be honest here. Like there's so many of them coming out every year, and they're all looking just like way better and doing way more than what this one's doing. Like it's got to do something different to separate itself out.
I mean, in terms of like I'm going to talk more about that part of it later. But as far as like this game is concerned, or like the future of Ninja Theory, as far as I've heard, rumor has it that they've already been greenlit for their next game. It's not a Hellblade game, but they've got one game in the bag next, and rumor has it they've actually got 2 games that they're working on.
DMC, so. DMC 2, DMC 3.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Or like Enslaved.
Jokes aside, like I shit on people shit on DMC, but it's not that bad a game. Like it's okay. It's an okay game.
Yeah.
It's a fun action game. But no, let's see what Ninja Theory does next, man. The thing about Ninja Theory is they have so many like different games, right? Like Heavenly Blade, Enslaved, Senua Sacrifice. There's so many like types of games, and they're all so different. It's kind of weird that they're just like the Hellblade guys, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that's I think their next games are going to be just something. I think their next game is like a horror game, is what I heard.
We'll see what happens with that. Like,
that'd be cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
that'd
want to
be
see
cool
them
to
do
see.
something different, man. Because Hellblade's cool. The universe, the characters are cool, but I think the games they're making with it are just do not work. They just need to. They can
Yeah,
take this. They can take this story and these characters just in a different style. I think would
yeah.
work.
We'll see if they do something with it then. You also played Hi-Fi Rush. Has your opinion on it changed at all?
Yeah, it's actually gotten worse. So
Ah, lover.
the more I played, the more I think I'm just done with this game, dude.
I have to replay it again because I remember being super into it when I played it, and I dropped it for something else.
I don't know if you've got like the other they start adding more characters, and
yeah, and
I
they
thought
have
it was,
like a backup. I thought it was cool because they're like a little backup character, and you can combo them into shit. I thought that was cool. Yeah,
they added there's a third character that I didn't know they were gonna add, and they added that third character, and I was like, this is fucking like they added a third character and then a new like because each character you have to use them for specific combat situations, so they start throwing enemies in where you need to switch to a motherfucker to deal with specific enemies. And once they added another fucking thing on top of that, 'cause I was already upset that they added more things. I think last time I talked about this game, they had added something. I played to a point and they added something, and I was like, they added another fucking thing. Well, yeah, I'm playing again. I played again. They added another fucking thing, man, and it's too much.
I think you and I have different expectations of it's too much because you also didn't like Doom Eternal because you're like it's too much shit. I got a grenade launcher. I got a chainsaw. I got all these guns.
So when they did that, I was thinking to myself, is Doom Eternal like the first game that's did shit like that? Because in my memory, I can't think of anything else in my recent memory that's doing that thing where it's like, yeah, you need this, you need item 1 to handle this type of enemy, you need item 2 to deal with this thing, you need this specific weapon to do that, you need this specific shit for specific shit, and you got to keep switching shit to deal with specific shit. Like Doom Eternal that's the first game I think of that did that. It's so recent that I can't remember anything before that.
Certain games have a variation of that. Like DMC is a great example. Because DMC, the Ninja Theory one, you have all your weapons available like from the beginning, or not from the beginning, but you have all your weapons available like from level to level.
Yeah,
and there are some enemies that are easier to take on with specific weapons. Like there are some weapons that are just better equipped for certain enemies. You can kill every enemy with every weapon, but some enemies are just better, or some weapons are just better suited for certain enemies. So there is incentive there. So you're not like
better suited, but you're never like required to.
Not always. I think early in the game, I think when the game first came out, before they did the definitive edition, there were some enemies that could only be killed by like, oh, this weapon needs to be killed by an angel weapon. This enemy needs to be killed by like a devil weapon. I think when it came out, like there were some enemies that did that, but that's like I think that was gone. But there have been games forever that are like, oh, this colored enemy needs this colored weapon, right? Like that's like a pretty common gaming trope, I think.
Like Ikaruga, maybe. But I don't know. And like I feel like in those games, it's a lot easier to because they have like a dedicated button for the thing. Like at least in Doom Eternal, you know, you have the flamethrower button, or you have like the grapple button, you have the grenade launcher button. I think right. You have the melee button. Like I feel like they have dedicated buttons for the thing. In this fucking game, you have to like switch. You have to switch the character. There's one button. You have to switch to the character and then use the thing that the character does. And those characters have cooldown. So if you don't do the thing that you need them to do the first time, you have to fucking wait for them their cooldown to refresh, and then like swap. It's just too much. It's just way too fucking much.
I gotta get back into it because I feel like.
And then like
I feel like this is a you problem. Like you get overstimulated if you have too many tools.
Auto aim. I discovered so much shit that I had to fumble with. Like eventually you get a grappling hook that lets you like grapple to an enemy, and you cannot grapple to an enemy if they're not in the view of the camera. Like if you know there's a guy behind you, you can't just turn chai around and then hit the button. You have to turn the camera to face the enemy and then use the grapple. Like, I know there's a guy back behind me, so just let me grapple to him, but you can't do that. You have to turn the fucking camera around. Like, when I figured that out, dude, I fucking hate this game. I hate this game.
I feel like you're being a little too sensitive. I'm gonna play it.
I'm not being too sensitive, man.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna come back next week with an opinion. Cause you and I, when it comes to like stuff like this, I think you and I have very different opinions on what a fun game is. Like,
it's just fundamental shit that I expect. I expect that I can take care of an enemy without having to turn the camera around to take care of them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Whereas me, I would expect, if I'm gonna grapple hook somebody, I want it to be the enemy in the center of my screen. I don't want to grapple hook somebody off screen. Like that, in my head, that sounds like it'll be fucking annoying. It'll cause more trouble than like it's worth.
The enemies can fuck you from without looking at them. So it's just unfair. It's not fair that I have to like turn the camera around.
I feel like it'd be better that way because I could be like running around. Just in the top of my head, there's just something I just came up with. I haven't even played the game in a while, so. But I feel like if you just want to grapple which direction Chai's facing, that's gonna make like running away or like trying to reposition yourself and then grappling the enemy you want like way harder than it needs to be. That's how I feel, because I can at least keep my camera on somebody while I'm trying to maneuver around them or dodge an attack. And it doesn't matter which direction I'm facing, as long as the camera's looking at them, I can grapple them. And like that sounds more beneficial to me than like, oh, grapple whatever direction like the character's facing.
Nah.
Yeah, like that sounds awful what you're suggesting.
No, man.
To be honest with you.
Because most of the enemies, it doesn't matter what enemy I'm fighting. I just want to hit something. So, because unless it's an enemy where I specifically need one of the other characters to like, because there's shield enemies. So if I need another character to do a thing, I'm gonna have to use that character anyway. But at least like if I can hit a thing or like get to an enemy to do something, you can do most things just by fucking attacking. So I just want to attack something. Even if I'm not looking, like if I kill an enemy that I am looking at and I know there's shit behind me now, I can kill this guy and then zip behind me without having to flip the camera around and then start like just getting in on it, because it emphasizes you doing these like combos and shit as fast as possible. And I already know there's a guy behind me, so I can kill this guy, zip behind me real quick, and then start fucking shit up again. It's like, in my mind, it makes total sense that I should be able to do that. But
well, I'll play it and I'll tell you why you're wrong next week.
you have to get to the point where it's like, I don't know, man. And then on top of that,
I will start the game from the beginning. That way I could like get everything drip fed to me again, because I don't remember a lot about that game. I remember that game has some very specific mechanics that I'm like, I need to get this game drip fed to me again.
Yeah.
So I'll play it, and next week I'll explain to you very concisely, professionally, why you're wrong.
And it sucks because I love the story and the characters and everything. Like, I want to enjoy the game and the story and shit, but playing it is infuriating. And then they added another character and then new enemy types that specifically require that character to be used on them, and I'm like, this is fucked.
Maybe you just don't like action games, man.
I like action games. I don't like this one.
What are some action games that you like? That you really like? Like character action games, like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry.
Bayonetta's great. I loved Metal Gear Rising. I loved I love the Platinum shit. Platinum games are great. God of War.
But Platinum games are I love them too. But Hi-Fi Rush is more of a Devil May Cry and less of a Bayonetta. And you're probably, what's the difference? The difference is that Platinum built Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising to be very, very easy to pick up. So it don't require you to memorize a lot of things, learn a lot of moves. Devil May Cry does.
You know what?
Devil May Cry expects a lot from you.
I've not played enough Devil May Cry, so I think that I will start getting into Devil May Cry and seeing what's up with that.
Start with Devil May Cry 3. Like, fuck the other games. Start with Devil May Cry 3. If you want to go back to 1 and 2, you can, but start with 3.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah. Start with 3. Play 1 if you want to see where it started. Fuck 2. Just skip 2.
Yeah. It's just I could deal with the juggling shit if everyone had like a dedicated button. Because once they add that third character, you then have to switch. You have to hit the button multiple times to switch to the character you need. Now instead of switching between 2 people, which was fine, you have to switch between 3 people. So you have to hit L1 twice to get to the character. Like at extreme, you'd have to hit it twice to get to that character, then use that character. Now that character's on cooldown, but there's still enemies that I need to deal with that character. So I have to wait for their cooldown to expire so I can use them again to. It's like it's fucked. What I'm explaining is not a problem with action games. It's a problem with this game specifically.
Yeah, and I think like you're just not used to like that type of action game that expects a lot from you. There's a Bayonetta, Bayonetta is very simple compared to other action games. Like you really don't have to worry about like, you know, attack 1, attack 2, and like dodge. There's not a lot of like very specific things you need to do for certain enemies. Not a lot of things that you have to do on your own. It's a
well-designed game. That's why.
It's designed to be simple. Like, but Devil May Cry is designed to be like, you have a lot more to work with, but a lot more self-expression with that. And I think that's where your disconnect is. You're going into Hi-Fi Rush expecting like Bayonetta, and it's giving you Devil May Cry, and I don't think you like that.
No, I think it's just designed poorly. That's what I'm saying. It's just designed poorly.
I remember playing it, and I remember being super into it. I remember really liking it. So I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to play it again.
It falls apart once they start adding shit and it not working the way it needs to work. That's what I'm saying.
See, that's what it got better for me, dude. I got like the second character, and I was like, this is fucking incredible. Like, I was like, I have more stuff to work with. That's awesome. Like, I'll give it another shot, though.
Like the grappling thing, and then that third character, and then having to switch, using one button to switch between all of them, and then having to use them all. It's like, it's just fucked.
I'll give it another shot. I will give it another shot, and I'll talk to you next week. I didn't play a lot this week. I'm still playing Fallout 4. Still a good game. Persona 5 Royal. Still a great game. I put iOS emulators. We're gonna talk about that last. One thing I got that I'm fucking pissed off about, and I gotta fuck around with it, and I hate having to do this. I bought fucking Dark Messiah Might and Magic.
Ooh.
It was on sale like a couple weeks ago for like $1. And I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So you're probably wondering why you bring it up now if you bought it a week ago. I'm able to play the fucking thing. That's why. I fucking run it, and Steam says it's running, and nothing happens. And I'm like, I gotta fuck around with this now. So that's what I haven't had the time to do it, but I want to play it because it looks fucking good. I feel like I would love it, but I've been fucking around with it. Well, I gotta fuck around with it now to make it run. So that's like, the thing. Have you played it?
I don't think so. That's the one with like the kick. You can like kick motherfuckers. Yeah, I've know of it. I never played it.
You could like kick. You could like. There's like magic you could do, and it's basically doing the Breath of the Wild thing before Breath of the Wild did it, where like you have all these systems that work off each other. So you could freeze the floor, and enemies that run on it will like slip and fall. For example, if you kick them, there's some physics there, so they knock each other down if you kick a guy into another guy. There's a lot of cool like physics-based stuff behind the scenes here, and the way stuff works off each other is really neat, and that's why I wanted to play it. But I can't get the fucking thing to run, so I gotta fuck around with it now to get it to run on my shit.
You probably have to go to PC Gaming Wiki, because there's probably like fixes. They're good at listing fixes. Like this is essential.
I'm in the community page here in Steam, and there's like a couple fixes I could try, but I gotta fuck around with it, man. And I got so little time to play games. I have to put my son down to sleep. You know, I've gone to work a full day. I come home, put my son down. Like, okay, I got a couple hours to play. Do I play a game? Do I play Fallout, or do I fuck around with Dark Messiah and try to see if I can get it to run right now? Yeah. And Fallout ends up winning out on that because of my time. But I'm gonna try to fuck around with it today, so if I can get it to run, that way I could actually like play it. But yeah. Also, I've been fucking around with some iOS emulators. Like, as those of you who don't know, emulators on iOS now. Not just Delta, the GBA one, but RetroArch is on there. PPSSPP is on there. Yeah, so I've been fucking around with that. I've been playing around with Delta, and I gotta say, it runs super good. It's great. Using the touchscreen control sucks, so I've stopped playing it until I can get like a backbone or something.
Okay, so here's my question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Why are people fucking with an inferior version, inferior emulators on an inferior device? When you can just get one of those cheap ass Chinese handhelds, get an Ambernic device that's just will run fucking everything up to like PS2 and more, and just has like a dedicated device.
I could, but this is here, and it runs fine, dude. Like, I haven't had any issues with it. It's just I don't like using the touchscreen to play it.
It runs fine. It's just like there's still like limitations on iOS to where like those versions of RetroArch or those versions of emulators are not like, they're still not the best versions they could be. Like on like an Android or anything else really. They're still not great.
Yeah, but that's going to be our next thing. I got RetroArch, which has a ton of different like emulators built into it. PPSSPP is one of them, the PSP emulator. And I tried running Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles on it, and it ran way faster than it was supposed to, and I could not figure out how to change it. I'm sure it's to me, it's a technical thing. You know, I don't fuck around with emulators too much. I'm sure it's a me thing. I try to figure it out if I fuck around with it long enough. But the PSP, PPS, I'm fucking sick of calling it that. The PSP emulator is also available separately on iOS as its own like app.
Yeah. So
I downloaded that, ran it on there, and it ran perfectly fine, like from the beginning. So I can understand RetroArch. This is back to what I've talked about, you know, a lean forward versus lean backward product. RetroArch is a lean forward product. Like, you have more options with it. You have more graphical settings. You have more ROM options. You have more emulator options. But you got to fuck around with it to really get to like the gold right behind RetroArch. Versus stuff like Delta, PPS, SPP. Those are good out of the gate.
You're correct in that, but I think part of the problem is the fucking like what they're allowed to do on iOS. Like RetroArch's not allowed to. Yeah, they're not allowed to give you certain things on iOS. Like, they have a dedicated. If you go to their website, you could like sideload. I don't know how the fuck you do it on iOS, but they've been doing iOS versions for a long time on their website, where they have like official versions that you have to sideload. I think what they're allowed to do on the App Store is they have to give you like a lesser version that doesn't include all the shit. And they have to do the same thing on like Android too. But
maybe that's it then.
At least on Android, you can just download the shit straight from their site and get it that way. But it's just a headache. Like, how do you get ROMs and shit? Because I have full ROM sets of like Super Nintendo, NES. Like, I have full ROM sets.
I mean, it's easy. Just the same way you get them on a computer. You just download them, load them up in your files on your phone, and then open up the emulator, and you can just load the ROM from there. You can even set the file. So what I'll do, I'll download it, move the file to the actual game folder on the emulator files, and then it's just there when I go to boot it up.
Okay.
So you can do it all from your phone. You don't have to fuck around with anything else. You can do it all from your iPhone, which I think is the big advantage there, because it makes it so easy to do just from your iPhone. You don't have to worry about having to plug in another device or fuck around with anything else. It's there. The only thing I hate about it is having to use the touchscreen controls. Like, that sucks. It's compatible with Bluetooth controllers, so that's cool. But I think I might just buy a backbone or like some other like compatible, controller device that like I can just slot my phone into.
Yeah.
Just to fuck around with it and try it because I want to get an Ambernick eventually. I mean, they're not that expensive right now. I can get one for like what, like 50, $60.
Yeah. I mean, you want the good ones that can do like GameCube.
Send me some links for the ones that you recommend. Send me some links, please.
All right.
Because I've been talking about picking them up forever, but there's so many of them out there. Send me the links of your favorite couple or just the one you recommend.
Well, at this point, I don't even use those anymore. I use like Windows handhelds, like the GPD devices, or like Aya Neo and shit. Like those are where I'm at now because they're just a lot more powerful and they can do in addition to all this shit, they can do like fucking Steam and shit. So that's where I'm at now. But if you like the cheap like Chinese ones, like those are great too, just for retro shit. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of good ones. I'll post links in the Discord. Go to gameoverse.com/Discord.
Do you recommend the Aya Neo devices then? Like they're pretty good.
Yeah,
they're expensive. Shit,
they're expensive. Yeah, so, but again,
these are like full Windows machines though,
yeah,
right? So like I could run, so I could run like I can load Steam onto them or like PC Game Pass on them, and then I have all these games here.
Yeah.
Cool. I might check that out then. I've been in the market for like a handheld. I don't know if I just want like a Chinese like emulator or if I want like a full like handheld PC. I don't know what I want.
I wanted something where I could play all my Steam indie games handheld.
Oh yeah,
like my whole Steam library, and then everything cloud syncs and shit. It's just way more convenient to have something that can run Steam. But yeah, I've put RetroArch on my Android phone for a while, and I've played shit that way, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm just gonna get a dedicated device that does this, and it's way better.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that too. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I want to get like a full Windows PC or if I want to just get like a little Chinese cheapo handheld emulator, but
yeah,
I don't know what I want. Yeah, that's what I'm fucking around with. Not super interested in what's happened this week, so we have a couple things to discuss on. Gamers have become less interested in strategic thinking and planning.
Yeah. So
this is something we've talked about before. Like the way people play games now is like very different than we used to play games like way back in the day. Like
and this is from Quantic Foundry, who is I think they're just like a data collecting site that just does. They've been collecting data, doing like surveys and shit for I guess like a decade now, and what they've noticed. So I think I actually took one of their profiling things. It tells you what kind of gamer you are. But they've been doing these surveys for at least like 9-10 years now, and they've come to the realization, they've noticed a trend here that in their data it shows that people are not as much into strategy shit as they once were 10 years ago. Like it's declining, and not just among it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're male or female or other. Pre-COVID, it's been happening pre-COVID, and yeah, they just noticed this trend it's actually happening. And I guess the interesting thing is like, why is this happening? Why are people like less interested in more in not just like strategic shit, but it's more games that are just slower paced, want you to kind of pay attention to them more, want you to do like more reading, or just want you to get more invested in what's going on in the game as opposed to just running and shooting and killing shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like why is this happening? Why are people just less into this shit? And I think the conclusion they came up with is just more people just have shorter attention spans in general. because of shit like YouTube or TikTok, where it's more of this instant gratification type of content that people have gravitated towards in the past decade. Shorter YouTube videos, shorter TikTok videos, more just scrolling on your phone, just consuming shit just to consume it, and not really consuming shit that's more substantial, I guess.
Yeah.
And that kind of shit has made its way into just our everyday lives. Like Netflix and shit will just feed you fucking content, or and the games you play are more like loot box driven, monetization, fucking dopamine, just shit to just make you feel good, and it's interesting shit.
Yeah.
It's interesting shit. I gotta say, personally, I don't feel like I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on like social media really.
Yeah.
I do like long form content. If I'm going to YouTube, I'm watching long form shit. So I haven't noticed it, but it's definitely, it's obvious that this is a trend and culture as a whole. The whole TikTok shit is really it's fucking huge. So it's just interesting. It's an interesting read on this site. They said that the average time spent on the computer app window has decreased from 2.5 minutes in 2004 to 47 seconds in 2016. Which is just crazy.
Jeez.
Like I love the data that they've gathered on this site. So if anyone's interested in that, check it out. We have the links in our
I'm taking the survey right now, and it's something I've noticed in myself. Like my attention span's gotten a lot worse, but it's only because, again, my time's very limited. Like,
yeah,
I'm an adult, full-time job. I have a family, a kid, so I only get a couple hours, realistically, a couple hours at the end of the night to play. So because of that, I'm getting into games that I know I could have a good experience in a couple hours. I say that playing Fallout 4, which is one of the worst games to do that with, because how long it takes to do anything in that game. And I could spend I've spent entire sessions of Fallout 4 just fuck around with my settlement. And I'm like, oh my god, it's time for me to go to bed. And all I did was build add a couple walls to my settlement.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing. But before that happened, yeah, I loved getting really into games, taking my time with them. And not just that, but I'm a huge Devil May Cry player, right? So I love spending my time with the game, getting a higher score on those levels. I remember you were frustrated with me playing what was it? Oh god, that fight, what was that game? God, Midnight Fight Express. Because I beat a level, I'm like, oh, I gotta start it over again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like that because I like pushing myself in these types of games. I love learning their mechanics, doing better, expressing myself in the combat for these types of games. Now I ain't got time for that. Now I do not have time for that. So that's something I've definitely seen in myself. I have TikTok just because it's fun to fuck around in and watch a couple silly little videos. But I don't think it's affected my attention span too much because I'll fuck around with that if I'm limited on time. But like you, I like long form content. I like watching long videos on YouTube or having that play in the background while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
So you can make an argument that's part of my bad attention span, but I can definitely see this being an issue. The way we absorb games now and media now is very different from how it used to be. Because back in the day, right, you had to physically go to a store, buy a game, take it home. The game didn't have any patches, right? So the game you got was the game you played. And before that, it was a question if you even would beat the fucking thing, right? Like, you buy a game expecting, like, if I'll beat it, not when I'll beat it, right? So...
Yeah, not even that. It's just games as a whole have been so strategically, mathematically calculated to maximize your engagement with it. Not every game, but like most games are trying to get the player to play a certain way or feel a certain thing about the game so that they'll go into the cash shop, or they'll invest in the battle pass, or they'll like loot will drop, and it just meant to trigger certain feelings in the player that they've very much calculated. Like games are just made a very different way than they were now that they know that they can milk players in a certain way. They've maximized that milking potential in these games too. So it's the same thing for any media, like on TikTok and shit. They've strategically, the algorithm will just feed you content that it thinks you want to see, so you'll keep fucking scrolling in this shit. Like I think the whole world has been kind of calculated in this way to kind of just get people to engage with shit for longer and longer, and be more impulsive about the way that they engage with shit. It's very interesting to see how shit has progressed in the past like 10 years.
And you're right. It's because the way games are designed to be played now, like we see a lot of like kids, for example, like kid gamers who like play like Fortnite, Minecraft, but they're not really doing anything in it. They're just there to play with their friends, right? So it's something that's interesting to see. But I could agree with this, honestly. The way games are played now is very different than how we used to play games when we were younger, and I can definitely see this being the case with a study here. Like I said, I'm taking the profile right now to find out what kind of gamer I am.
Yeah.
What did it tell you about you? Did you mention that?
I might have lost the link. Wait, let me see if I still have it here. Oh, here it is. See if I can pull it up here. It told me I was like not into strategy shit, but that's kind of true and not true, because I do like I like shit that where it just lets me kind of be more creative, like Zelda, like Tears of the Kingdom type shit, where I can just kind of wander around and just try shit and try to break the game in different ways I kind of didn't expect. Like I'm not really into strategy. It's weird because I like games like Metal Gear Solid 5, where I can just go in and strategically plan out my actions and then let myself fuck it up, and then just think on the fly of how I'm gonna. Oh shit! I fucked it up. Now I gotta like.
That's my favorite thing about Metal Gear Solid 5, by the way. Like some of my favorite, my best memories are like my plans not going the way I planned them out to, and then having to think of like a solution. Yeah. Like there are moments in that game that stick with me like years later because of how shit went down. I love it.
So yeah, it says I'm 97% action and 69% creativity. Nice. And then.
I'm interestingly like, so it put me down as a bounty hunter. High octane solo world exploration. Now I'm going to describe this here. You'll be like, okay, that's Rick. Bounty hunters are solo action oriented explorers who want game worlds they can make their own through customization and discovery. They also enjoy power progression and unleashing mayhem.
Yeah.
Like that is absolutely me to a T. Like that's exactly how I play Diablo, man. Like
yeah, there's a little blurb here I feel like doesn't really fit me, but
yeah. And if you look at it here, it's like action 95%, creativity 82%, mastery 72%.
Okay.
Which like that fits me to a T here. Like I agree with this.
Yours is a little bit more balanced than mine,
But all my other stuff though, immersion, social, achievement, those are like achievement's the highest at 58 out of those three, but social and immersion are like the 40s. So that makes sense to me. Like immersion's not so much. I like to say like, I like immersion and I can let a game immerse me when I want it to. But at the end of the day, my goal is to like have fun with it, express myself through like the game's progression or the game's combat, and ultimately learn how to like master it so I could like really get better at it. Like that's how I have fun with these games. And if you look at the kind of types of games I play, like that's exactly it. Like Diablo 4 and Diablo 3, that fits it to a T. Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, even my fighting game fixation, like Street Fighter and stuff. Like it's interesting. Like this is pretty accurate to me, I think.
Yeah, I think it's accurate. I think it's accurate for me too.
Yeah.
I think the blurb it gave me is not accurate, but
yeah,
the rest of the info on the rest of the page is pretty accurate.
What's the blurb?
The blurb says skirmishers want fast-paced. It says I'm a skirmisher.
Okay.
They want fast-paced team arenas that are accessible and easy to jump into. They are highly spontaneous gamers who dislike games that require thinking and planning.
Yeah, not exactly you. Like,
yeah,
you are very spontaneous. I think I agree with the spontaneous gamer part, but
yeah,
I wouldn't say you're like adverse to like thinking and planning.
Yeah,
interesting.
It really depends on the type of game.
Yeah. And again, this isn't going to be like perfect. Like on top of like most of the games I play, yeah, this is right. But I also, Persona is like one of my favorite games, and that fits nothing into this category here. Like,
yeah.
So, you know, it's definitely like, it's not going to get everything perfect for everybody. But if you look between the lines here and the stuff that I do like, you know, it counted creativity and mastery very highly for me, which is stuff you see in a lot of RPGs. It's no secret I like seeing numbers go up in RPGs. I like min-maxing my characters in RPGs. I like making the best character I can to do a specific job that they can in RPGs. So it makes sense that like some of the secondary motivations here are very they're secondary motivations. Yeah,
the percentages. I'm reading this. The percentages are not how much you are that. It's compared to other players, you're more than average on that.
Yeah.
Or less than average. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 50% would be average. And then compared to other players, you're more than or less than. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting to me. Like there's a lot here. Like you really have to dig into the data to like really understand it. But
yeah,
surface level is not going to be like completely accurate. Like I said, like, you know, according to this game, I like action games, making my way in the world and like min-maxing a character. So it makes sense for a lot of the games I play, but games like Persona, again, are an outlier for that. It's not a really action-heavy game.
Yeah.
But you have to really think about, like, there's more stuff down here, too, like what components are there for you, how it makes it up. Like, it's super interesting. I'm going to save this link here.
Yeah, and I'll post this in the, when I post this, I'll post the link to this. And it'll be in the show notes if anyone fucking looks at that. But I'm curious to see where other people land in our audience with this stuff too.
Yeah. Go check out the links, everybody. This is pretty cool. Yeah. That's super interesting. This is cool. I like this.
Yeah. There was just something I saw, just, you know, gaming trends are just changing, you know, which means like games are changing to accommodate those trends as well. So, you know, if you're like, man, games used to be different when I was a kid, well, there's why. Because fucking everything's like changing, like socially and societally.
Sorry, I'm sending the link out to some friends.
Yeah.
But no, this is cool. Like, I could agree with a lot of this here. Like, this definitely sounds like me. That's cool. Thanks for sharing it. That was cool. Now, did Mark Cerny lie to us? Can you elaborate on this?
Okay, so
like, what's this? Yeah. Okay, so
it's a bit of a joke. It's a little joke, but there's I after playing Hellblade, so this is the part where I talk about like Hellblade and then why this game is not a good game, is because I feel like we were lied to. We were lied to, but not just okay. So Mark Cerny went on stage and he talked about, oh yeah, you know, with the power of the PS5, these fucking games are just gonna be different, man. Everything's gonna be. We have so much potential. We'll just make different shit, and it's gonna be awesome. You realize your full potential, and developers are gonna love this shit. And then you know, here we are, like three. When did these shits come out? Like 2019, right? 2020. So we're like 3-4 years
that, yeah.
into these consoles, and did shit really change, or are we just seeing the same fucking shit? We're seeing the same shit that we've been seeing, except what's better? The same shit that always gets better. The graphics get better, and like the speed at which it delivers those graphics get better. But everything else stays. We're still playing the same fucking games. So you brought up, which I'm glad you did, you brought up the Order 1886, which is this fucking same shit, man. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
That game was a bad game, but what did they ride on? They rode on the fucking look how fucking good it looks, man. Look at these graphics. You've never seen anything like this. It's fucking so cinematic. So cinematic that it's 30 FPS.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's interesting to me, because like I remember when that game came out, I was still working at Best Buy, and people would ask me like, "How was the game?" Because you know the reviews were pretty harsh on it, for good reason. But people would still ask me, you know, what do you think of it? Have you played it yet? What do you think of it? And I would tell people like, listen, if you want to play, like, I'll be upfront. If you want a game that's like a game-ass game to play, this is not it. But if you want a game that like looks great, justifies your purchase of a PS4, if you want a game that shows you what the PS4 is capable of graphically, to show off to like your friends, to really blow your mind with how good graphics can be, this is the game to do that.
Yeah.
If you want a game you're gonna be playing for hours on end, that you're gonna be obsessed over, it's gonna be your new gaming obsession, this is not it. This is not the game to do that.
And that's the thing, is we've made this game. We make this game every generation.
Yeah.
And like Hellblade is that game now. The Order 1886 was at last gen. PS3 gen, I would argue that game was The Last of Us. But that game only.
I would argue Heavy Rain for that one, but
yeah, but I don't think it has to be a bad game though. That's the thing, or like I don't think people have to hate it for it to be that game.
Well, I'm talking about like the game that's like, oh, here's like, this is the reason why you bought this system. Like, this is like what the system's capable of, like graphically. You know, games that are shown off to prioritize, like.
I feel like those Naughty Dog games where it was like Uncharted 3 and.
Well, keep in mind, Uncharted and stuff came out like a little bit later, but super early on. It was like Heavy Rain,
Killzone 2,
Metal Gear Solid 4. Again, they're not bad games, not to be bad games, but those are the games that are like, when those games are shown off, it's like, look how good this game looks. It looks like a movie. Like, it's like you're playing a movie. Like,
but then, so what were those games? Those games were fucking, look how good it looks. You're going to run in a straight line from point A to point B while occasionally pressing buttons. Like, that's what those games were. And it's just like not, it's my thing is, I thought PS5, when Mark Cerny gets on the stage and talks about how incredible the PS5 is going to be, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get the visuals, but then we're also going to get a fucking like incredible video game from it as well. It's like,
that's what I was expecting.
And that's just,
I was expecting like a new like gaming renaissance. Like here's new hardware, here's the shit we could do on the hardware gameplay wise. Yeah. And I feel like no one's doing that. Like the last time game hardware impressed me that actually affected the gameplay, and I'm like digging deep for this, man. The last time like I played a game and I was like, oh, this is only possible on this system. Two games come to mind, right? It's Fear with the AI, which, if you get under the hood, isn't too impressive, really, if you look under the hood for it. But at the time, it was like incredible just seeing how the AI reacts. And 2 was Dead Rising, with how many zombies there were on screen, and that actively affected how you played the game. Like, you had to plan out, like, there's all these zombies here. Do I kill them? Do I go around them? Do I find another route? Like, that actively, like, impressed me, because I was like, oh my god, like, this is such a cool thing.
Generation, like the PS3 360 gen, I feel like was like the last biggest leap that we've seen in terms of not only do you get the graphics, the gameplay is there as well to a certain extent, because then they just started focusing on the graphics and the gameplay just took a shit, where it's just like, here's a corridor. It's like, then they started just making PS2 games again, where it was like, here's a hallway, you go down the hallway, and it looks good, and you press buttons sometimes. Like,
even then, like, the PS2 had very, like, gameplay focused games at the time too. Like,
yeah.
But you're right. Like, there's been this kind of stagnation of, like, the types of games that we see now, and it's really frustrating to see that. Like, every game's either like a first person, like, corridor type game, right, that looks really good, or it's like a multiplayer live service game like Fortnite or Apex, which isn't bad. If you like those games, that's fine with you, but, like, I'm disappointed to see, like, how games have stagnated in terms of, like, creativity. Actually, I take that back. Tears of the Kingdom really, really impressed me. But there's some caveats there, because if that game had been on better hardware, it would have been better. But it wasn't a hardware thing to decide Tears of the Kingdom. It was like Nintendo's creativity. Like, Tears of the Kingdom could have come out on, like, that same generation, right? 360, PS3, I think.
In fact, it did. Well,
yeah, if we're talking like hardware wise, like, Breath
of the Wild was a Wii U game, so
so technically it did. But yeah, I was expecting with the PS4, that generation, PS4, Xbox One, to really, like, impress me with, like, oh, how our game's gonna run now, how our game's gonna play. Like, I was really excited to see, like, what kind of gameplay innovations we got. We didn't really get anything, at least I could think of, that whole generation.
Like, the only thing I can think of is, like, No Man's Sky. As much shit as you want to give, like, No Man's Sky and even Starfield, I can give credit for just it being ambitious enough with what it was doing on, like, planetary generation. Like, you'd look at it and the execution, and you're like, okay, this could have been done. Like, if they had more time to work on that game, I feel like it could have been as good as we imagined it being. But it's still impressive what they, like, I want to give them credit for at least doing what they did do. Like, it's still impressive that they can do that on the scale that they're doing it. So I will give them credit. I'll give it that.
And I will admit there are some games that, like, the graphic options enhance the game a lot. Like, I don't want to just talk shit here. The Resident Evil remakes, all been fantastic. All of them. And a big part of that is how graphically impressive they are. Like, Resident Evil 2, even though it's what we... Let me style it back a little bit. Even though it's nothing new, quote unquote, it's a survival horror game. You have a map, you have puzzles to solve, inventory to manage. It's a really well-built game. On paper, right, it's stuff we've seen before, but the added graphical fidelity to this game enhances that survival horror experience much more. Right, like, this is a game where I could argue the better graphics help propel that game even more, because it's going to have better sound design, better environmental design, better lighting, right? It sets the mood much better. I remember being super impressed with Resident Evil 2 with how the gore settings were. It's a really good option to, like, it's a really good way to help unnerve you when you shoot a zombie in the head, and the way its head, like, pops, or the way its face, like, comes off. It's really cool, and it's a great way to, like, help set that, to help you know, set that stage right, set that mood, even though gameplay wise, it's not doing anything new. The extra power these systems provided it help enhance that experience more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the only game that does that, because every other game like uses those graphics to like.
I get what you're saying, but they should.
Yeah.
They should be able. I'm looking more at like Resident Evil Village, which was built with the current shit in mind. Even though I think those games came out on PS4.
Yeah, they did.
So even Village wasn't even like using its full potential. Like I want to see a Resident Evil game that's not in a corridor. You know, I don't want to be locked in like a hallway, or if it is outside, it's literally just an arbitrary hallway that's like in a, you know what I mean, like a forest hallway where there's invisible walls everywhere. Like I want a Resident Evil that's not that I like open world, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so you want Evil Within 2.
No. Evil Within 2. I played that game. A lot of people are looking back at those games more fondly than I think they remember them being. Because those games were not, like, it's almost like if Tango was like, yeah, remember Evil Within? No, man. Like, that game was like pseudo open. Like, it was like a city, or it was like a town that you could wander around in, but that town was still like kind of small. But
yeah, I see what you mean. And it doesn't have to just be open world either. Like I said, Dead Rising impressed me. That wasn't an open world game, really. It was a sandbox game.
Yeah.
But what impressed me with Dead Rising is like, here's the power of the Xbox 360 providing us all these zombies on screen, all these items on screen.
Though. That was that era. I don't even remember, like, that whole era was like, look how many motherfuckers are on screen. You know, it was like Lair and like Heavenly Sword was that, or 99 Nights on 360.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was like a lot of games where it was just like, look how many motherfuckers there are.
Yeah, and it didn't do anything except for like just give you stuff to hit. But what I liked about Dead Rising is that it wasn't just like, here's all these zombies on screen you could fuck up. It's also like, hey, you gotta like avoid them. Here's also all these items that are loaded in that level, so you can pick up a chair. You can pick up anything and use it as a weapon, basically.
Yeah.
That's something that was really cool to me. Like this really, at the time, you know, realistic idea, just using what I can that's around me to like protect myself.
Yeah. Was
super cool to me. And that was a new gameplay experience I'd never experienced before. You know, that was, I'm giving it a lot of credit because in hindsight, Dead Rising is like an okay game now by today's standards. Yeah. But at the time when it came out, I was blown away that like, look how much zombies are on screen. Also, like, look at all the items on the floor that I can just pick up. I want to pick up this bench and throw at a zombie. I could. If I want to pick up this, like this mannequin and use it as a weapon, I could. And the mannequin breaks, and the individual parts can be used as weapons too. Like, yeah, that was cool to me. And then Dead Rising 2 building on that, and letting you like combine items and stuff. Like, that was really neat to me to see that evolution and what was capable gameplay wise with the powerful hardware. And I haven't really seen anything do that yet.
Yeah, I would say there's like 2 games that's done it. It's like No Man's Sky, which again, think what you want about the game. The tech is fucking impressive. Like if they did that game on PS5, it would be even way crazier. And they are working on a new game that is an expansion on that. So I want to see where they go with that idea, just on a better hardware. And it's that game, and it's I think Cyberpunk is like another one that's like, this is fucking impressive. Like, because not only do you have the visuals, you have the presentation, but you also have like the gameplay that goes along with that, and it meshes. Like, they made that game. They made the visuals, and also it's a good fucking game. Like, it's open. It's fucking like, you can your imagination can like kind of go wild in that game. Whereas like,
I'll take it a step further. Like, you know, a game like Prey also was very similar. You know, it was a sandbox type of game. It wasn't this huge open, expansive open world. But the game visually looked impressive. It had all these items and things to interact with loaded into the game. And your own problem-solving skills helped you get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the door's locked. Cool. I could hack the door. I could shapeshift into like a small item, like a cup, and squeeze through a crack in the window.
Yeah.
I could, if I had a dart gun, I could shoot, and the monitor's visible. I could shoot the dart gun at the touchscreen and then open the door. There's like a ton of things I can do to like interact with the game.
That game is very impressive, but in my mind, they're limiting themselves, because what you get from like an open thing is you get this uncertainty that in the game that you built, like in your engine, anything can happen from the outside world, can just kind of come in and fuck shit up. And to me, that elevates the game a little bit. It's like what you get out of a Cyberpunk that you don't get out of like a Starfield, because they don't have these systems. It's the systems that I'm thinking of, like, you know, like Metal Gear and shit, where like not only did they have this closed environment that they've accounted for, but there's also this external environment that they cannot possibly account. Like anything can happen with this, and they have all these systems driving this that shit can happen. That's why I say Cyberpunk and like No Man's Sky and shit, or like these open shits. Not necessarily that it has to be open, but that's why like Prey is impressive for what it is. But they put a box around everything that kind of lets you do that, to where it's not as impressive now, because it's the same reason why I like Hellblade and shit. Like Hellblade, it looks like it's open, but in reality, it's just this box of shit that they have counted, and everything outside that box doesn't really exist, you know?
I see what you mean. Like, the opportunity is more vast in Cyberpunk because of how open it is, but I will argue that the player expression and the problem solving is a bit more diverse in Prey, because you have all these extra options to play with, and because the developers don't have to take into account like all these outside factors. They can let you, the player, experience the game how you want to experience it, and you could influence the environment a little bit more than what you can in Cyberpunk.
That's what I'm saying. The outside factors is what makes it more
impressive for you.
Technically impressive.
Yeah,
because it's doing a lot more shit, like computationally, than them just putting a box in and isolating everything off.
Yeah,
because that's shit that you could do that on anything. I feel like what next gen are these like break the fucking walls down. Now anything's possible. Now, you know, it's like ray tracing almost. Like ray tracing takes into account, hey, there's a fucking sun outside and it's affecting what's happening inside. Yeah. To where like if you did have Prey and there was a stealth section and they had like a daytime nighttime thing, but you were still in this closed environment, and the light from outside could like affect your stealth on the inside, like that would be fucking awesome. Like that would be fucking crazy. I see what you mean. Yeah. I
see what you mean. Yeah, and I haven't seen too many games do that. You're right. So yeah, that's something I've been disappointed with this generation. I haven't seen too many like generational games that are like, this game could only exist on this hardware. Yeah. Not just because of graphically what it's doing, but also like technically like what it's doing. Yeah. To make the gameplay possible. I haven't seen anything do that. At least not this generation.
As like we get like load times, which like Ratchet and Clank is impressive, but it proved when it came out on PC, it proved that it doesn't actually require an SSD. It's just it takes a little longer for it to load. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited. Something like that. That's interesting. It's been a good discussion. Like this is a good discussion topic.
Yeah.
I want to see more bigger. I want to see that next game that's like impressed me. You know what I mean? The game that's like, here's a gameplay mechanic that's only possible on this hardware. Yeah. You know, that justifies like this new generation of consoles and this new generation of like graphics cards and hardware you got to pay for. Yeah. I'll argue Elden Ring probably does a lot of that for some people. I haven't played it yet, but from what I've seen of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to go back to it. Every time I go back to it, I'm like, I don't like this. And then I just wander around, I do shit, and I walk into a boss, and I'm like, this boss is difficult. I don't know if I'm supposed to fight this guy. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it. But I'll try it one more time before the DLC comes out.
Yeah, I want to pick it up. I'll probably pick it up on my Xbox or something because I've been looking for an excuse to play on my Xbox.
Yeah.
Speaking of Elden Ring, some quickie news. You got Kingdom Hearts coming to Steam. That's cool. Finally, fuckingly. It's been on literally everything, you know, even Switch and Epic before Steam. So it's cool to see it coming to Steam.
I would imagine they would charge full price for this one on Steam.
Oh yeah. But now that it's on Steam, you can play on your Steam Deck and, you know, all those other cool little Steam things.
And the problem with it on Epic is that it didn't have any like it didn't have any achievements on Epic. It didn't have like clouds. It didn't have shit. It just was like the games. So it says here on Steam it's gonna have Steam achievements, it's gonna have Steam Cloud support.
There you go. I don't know if it's Steam Deck compatible yet, if it's been Steam Deck verified, but we'll find out later.
Yeah.
The new Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erdtrees, came out. They got a new trailer for it, so check that out. I haven't played Elden Ring yet. Like I keep saying, I want to try it though. I need to get into it. I might pick it up on Xbox or something. Because like I said, I need an excuse to play my Xbox.
It's a game I want to enjoy, man. Because from when they first showed this game, just the visuals, man, I was like, holy shit, this looks fucking incredible. This world looks incredible. You know, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but visually, I'm there already.
It's the only game I've seen that was like, you know, oh, it's Breath of the Wild, insert game here, and it actually like fits that description.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I want to play it. I really do want to play it, but I gotta love-hate relationship with like Souls-likes, man. Like, some of my best experiences in games have been with Souls-likes. Not so much the Dark Souls games or the FromSoft games, but just Souls-likes in general. And some of my worst experiences have been with like Souls-likes. Most of them, the FromSoft games. So,
Bloodborne's been my favorite. I've finished that game and the DLC. That's like the only one I've ever finished. Yeah.
I can't play it because of the frame rate, man. The frame rate just kills me. I can't play it with that. I can't.
And Sekiro would probably be my second favorite, but that one's hard as shit.
Yeah.
Hard as shit. So,
I had a buddy of mine recommend me that Pinocchio game, Lies of P. Says it's just like Bloodborne, and I was like, whatever with it. So
it's less like a Bloodborne. That's what fucked me up, is thinking it was like Bloodborne, and it's really not.
Yeah.
At least in the way you play it.
Yeah.
It's more Sekiro than Bloodborne.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so check out the story trailer for the new Elden Ring expansion. Game releases Thursday, May 23rd. Today we got Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 dropping on current gen systems, PS5 and Xbox Series X. Let's go check that out. 33 Immortals is dropping today for PC and Xbox Series X.
This is the Xbox game. I would imagine this is dropping on Game Pass, but it's like a big like MMO game where it's like 33 players like doing like boss raids and shit.
Oh yeah, I heard of
this
one.
It looks really fucking interesting. I really want to play this and see how this works.
No, this looks cool. I want to check this out too. I'll check if it's on Game Pass. If it is, I'll check it out. Tuesday, May 28th, we got Multiversus re-releasing.
Yeah.
On everything.
So they've came out and said how the monetization is gonna work, and basically, you're gonna have to like they're doing where Overwatch 2 fucked up, and they're putting characters in the battle pass, which is just a shitty way to do it. I mean, because it makes you have to like unlock the characters through the battle pass, which is just bullshit. And I don't even know if there's like premium battle pass. I don't know if you can unlock them if you don't pay for the battle pass.
Yeah.
But they said if you do pay for the battle pass, you'll unlock enough currency to, if you finish the battle pass, you unlock enough currency to pay for the next battle pass for free.
Oh, that's cool.
So, you know,
you just gotta stick with the game then. So
yeah, that's
cool. I might check it out. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Now that the game's gonna be live again, I might try it out.
Yeah, they added more modes. There's like a co-op, some kind of story co-op mode. There's like a, you know, like Smash had, There was like a story mode. They added something like that.
Check it out.
So
also same day we got Tevi coming out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X.
Yeah.
It's bullet hell Metroidvania with cutesy anime girls. So
I played this in one of our demo derbies. It's
did
it's
you
fun.
like it?
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
pretty dope.
Metroidvania bullet hell is a pretty weird combination, but I think it works.
I don't know if it's a bullet hell. I didn't
it says bullet hell right here.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Huh.
So it's a tale of mystery, magic, and mayhem in Tevi, a bullet hell Metroidvania.
I didn't really get that vibe when I played it, but I guess if it's on there, those are like
I can see it's some boss fights. Yeah, I can see some boss fights. No, it's in the game description. Like,
oh, is it? Oh,
yeah. But I'm watching some gameplay here, and the boss fight definitely has some bullet hell stuff. Okay. This looks cool though. Shit, I think I might be into this.
It was pretty dope when I played it. Yeah,
I'll check it out. And then last but not least, May 29th, we have 9 Souls coming out for PC. I've never heard of this game. What's other Metroidvania? Oh, it's Souls-like 2D action platformer.
I like the art style.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, the art does look really cool.
Oh yeah, Sekiro-inspired deflection-focused combat. That means it's gonna be fucking difficult as fuck. Oh yeah.
I feel like it's easier to manage on a 2D game though than it is on a 3D game.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Sekiro is that, which a lot of these games don't do, a lot of these Souls games don't do this, but Sekiro does, is that the enemies play by the same rules as the player. So you can one shot bosses. I mean, not one shot really, but if you're playing good enough, you can kill the bosses in like minutes, you know, because it's just you counter them and then you fucking do the quick kill, but you have to play perfectly. And most people are not going to be doing that. So
I might try Sekiro then, because I think my problem with Souls games is, because of a lot of the RPG stuff, it kind of forces you to like make a build, and it's really easy to like fuck your build up and build in the wrong direction. I think with Sekiro,
there's no builds in Sekiro. You never level up. You never upgrade anything. You never get any new equipment. At least I think that's how it was. It's like what you start the game with is what you end the game with. I think there's like there are shit you can upgrade or unlock, I think, but for the most part, it's just you're that guy, and you have what you have, and those are your tools.
I think I might like that more then, because like a game that kind of forces me to play by its rules and master its mechanics how it sees fit.
Yeah,
you know, it kind of strikes in the face of like that self-expression and freedom I like, but it also gives me a challenge to like overcome, you know.
And you always know that challenge is appropriate, you know.
Yeah,
like you can do this at this point. You don't have to go grind and level up. No, fuck no.
Yeah,
no, fuck no. That game is hard as shit, man. Like it really. You said it wants you to play by its rules. It really fucking wants you to.
I might check it out then. I'm gonna give it a shot. But this 9 Souls game looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for the show, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, listening in to us. Wasabi, man, tell people where they can find us.
Guys, you can go to Gameoverse.com, Gameoverse.com/Twitch, Gameoverse.com/YouTube, Gameoverse.com/Discord. Hop in there, talk to us, take that survey. I'll post a link for that survey. I'm curious to see where our audience lands on that shit.
Yeah, everybody, take that survey, come talk with us. You know, in the meantime, be cool, be safe, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.